Hey there, and welcome back to Heartfelt Hustle. I am so glad to have you here. Today, we are diving into something that came up inside my community recently, and as well as apart from that, we did talk about it in one of the podcast interviews I was in. Like, we were discussing about this, and it is not even intentional, but just when we're talking about, life behind the scenes and stuff, topics like these do come up. And I did also write a post about this where it is more about content strategy for busy business owners. And seriously, I received so many DMs with the messaging like, Sush, I struggle with staying consistent. And thank you so much for, even talking about this because it's not something that a lot of time people do talk about. And yeah, I can totally understand. I've been there myself as well. So staying consistent in your business is one of the hardest thing to do. Life gets messy. There are those motivation dips or, there's the ups and downs and sometimes showing up just feels impossible. But showing up consistently does matter, doesn't it? Not because you have to do it all, but because consistency builds trust. It helps us build momentum and at the same time, it helps us build our own resilience as well. So today, let's actually talk about what it looks like both the conventional and unconventional ways of showing up as a business owner.
Welcome to Heartfelt Hustle, the podcast that dives deep into the heart and hustle of entrepreneurship, where our dreams meet reality and where our passions fuel our success. I'm your host, Sushmita Jain, a loan strategist and operations director, founder of an outsourcing agency. Most of my clients call me their right-hand woman, and most importantly, a curious soul as well as a nerd. I am here to share my experiences. I am here to share my insights. I am here to share practical tips that will help you build a thriving and a sustainable business. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, a seasoned business owner, or someone looking to infuse more heart into your hustle, I am here and this podcast is for you. Each week, we'll dive into topics ranging from reconnecting to your passions, your soul, your why, and overcoming the roadblocks of your growth journey. So grab a cup of coffee, get comfortable, and let's dig into this heartfelt hustle together.
Let's start with the truth, shall we? I do understand consistency isn't easy. Seriously, with all the juggling roles we are trying to keep up with that come with running a business as well as part of a life. Yeah, life can happen. Too many moving pieces and yeah, there's so much. If I look at myself, there's this person who is leading her team. There's this person who is there for her clients. There's this person who is there, trying to make sure she is showing up. She is having the conversation she is looking forward to have or, talking about the things she would love to talk about. But then there's also this person who wants to be there for her son. There's this person who also wants to be there for her family, for her partner or husband, for herself as well, for her parents, for her sister. Yeah, just so many things, right? And then there are days when we might feel tired, we might be feeling overwhelmed, we even might be second guessing ourselves or everything we created as well. And yeah, and it happens. I do totally get it. And the idea of showing up when all of these things are happening, we are going through life, sometimes just feels like it's just one more thing to add to the list. But how about we actually reframe it? I mean, how about consistency not being about perfection, but it rather being about the commitment. It rather being about the discipline, or it rather being about we just having fun. It's all about finding ways to be present and visible even when we're not 100%. And I'm not talking about you just, showing up for the sake of it, but rather actually purely having fun with showing up. How about that? And that's the reason why I want us to talk about, like you said, not like you said, but in this episode, it's going to be about conventional ways as well as unconventional ways of showing up. And yeah, that's what today is going to be all about. So, what are conventional ways of showing up? What do most people think of when they hear consistent content? Well, it means, and this is the exact thing that most of the time will come into our mind, would be posting regularly on our social media platforms, sending weekly or bi-weekly emails to our list, creating long-form content like blogs, podcasts, or YouTube videos, showing up on Instagram stories or doing live videos, responding to comments and engaging in DMs. These strategies do work, and they are very vital. It's not that they are not important. They help you stay on top of mind, and they help you build a deeper connection with the audience. So yes, it matters. But there's the thing. They're not the only way. I love doing my podcast, but there was a time at the beginning of this year when I had to kinda take a pause from creating content like my podcast. But still, the previous episodes were getting, listeners, and now the new ones as well as the old ones are getting people listening to it, you know. And when it comes to, when we look at the conventional ways of showing up, for example, I shared the example of weekly or bi-weekly emails to our list. Well, if we look at it, there was a time in my life as well where I was very much struggling with, I am someone who helps my clients with literally planning, mapping, and even writing emails for their campaigns, like their launches and all of those kind of things. But still, when it came to my own newsletter, I was so much fixated on some certain idea that I did struggle to send out consistent email newsletters. But then I changed something. I started having fun with it. I started sharing rather a lot of behind the scenes of what's happening, how I'm feeling, actually writing a newsletter, which is more of something that I love creating or writing versus, oh my God, what should I write this week kind of thing. So when I switched from what should I write to rather making it more fun and just, making it a piece of content which is not something, there's still strategy, mind you. It's not that my current emails do not have a strategy. It's something random that I will always talk about in my emails. But the point here is that once I made the shift and once I started looking at it in a way where things, even the pressure was taken off, it started being much more easier to be consistent. And once I got in the flow, once I built the discipline, once I started enjoying writing newsletters, initially they were just week to week, that exactly what's happening in my life. But now they are a mix of what's happening, what I want to share, even while I'm writing the email. If there's something recent that's happened, I do have right now, if I look at it, for the entire month of April, I have my entire calendar mapped out as to what emails would be going out to my email list, my newsletters, as well as other emails because there will be podcast emails. There would be other, like kind of promo emails and stuff that would be going out to my email list as well. So it's not that I don't have like a structure as to what and when I want to write about, but there's gonna be still the hint of who I am, what's happening, and how I want to share it when I actually sit to write content. So it's not like where should I start, but it's rather me giving myself the structure, but still keeping the flexibility, you know? So these are the conventional ways, even when it comes to my social media content. It's a mix of what's happening in my life, how I'm feeling, what I want to talk about, or if I do come across a certain post which gives me an idea or inspiration and it's not something which literally needs to go out today in this moment, I would just rather make a note and have it written on my Notion in the idea section so that it can be something I can come back to. So I have like an idea bank. In fact, it's right there on my Notion database where I have my content calendar, and it's just, like the status of that post idea is in idea phase. So there's no date to it. There's nothing, but it has that blurb, which when I come back to will give me context to actually write the post when I need to. Or if sometimes I'm just, too in the zone and, I have this idea and I just write the entire post out, but then it still kind of stays in the idea, or I just assign a later date until when I've mapped the calendar. So I kind of just work it around those things, but it works. And I feel that is something that will help you. And that's the reason why we are talking about it, because ultimately, the reason why you're listening to this episode is because you want to show up consistently, don't you? It's just that you have been feeling the pressure when it comes to your, like, what am I supposed to do? How am I going to make it happen? Oh my God, consistency feels a lot of pressure kind of thing. And that's the reason why you're trying to work a way out, which is good because you are aware of it. And that means you are willing to make the changes and you're going to be testing it out. So, yeah. So, what are unconventional ways of showing up? Well, when it comes to this, I feel that these are the ways that often do not get mentioned, but matter just as much as the conventional ways of showing up, because these are things like maybe sharing a quick behind the scenes update on your stories, or maybe repurposing an older post that still holds value. Like the amount of times I have actually gone back to maybe my Facebook memories and I've come across all the gold in there. And then it has given me another post idea, which then I have implemented and seen how it performs. Perfect, amazing, like just love it. It's kind of like that. And just like that, so, sharing quick behind the scenes, maybe you just either had a conversation with someone which gave you another idea. So, or maybe it gave you an idea for a social media post, or it gave you idea for a podcast episode, which you would like to talk about in the coming time. Well, why not talk about it right now in your stories and tease your audience about it? You're sharing behind the scenes, or it maybe gave you an idea for an offer or a live video, whatever it is, talk about it. Stop holding yourself back because people love knowing things. Like I legit did a reel yesterday because so initially there was a certain type of idea and a reel that was supposed to go out yesterday, but life happened. So yesterday I was delivering day 3 of Elevate, which is like a paid experience I'm running for the people who have signed up, and it is for my membership people. So I was running that, but for some reason, Facebook decided that it's not the day. I do run the implementation call for it, or Q&A, answering the participants' questions. So the live did not happen. So instead of me sharing what we talked about in the live video and how it had, so it was more like a reflection kind of, so it was any which way is going to be and behind the scenes or me sharing my feelings kind of a reel. But since it did not work and actually the live did not happen, I did share and reflect still in the reel and did talk about what happens when maybe, there's a moment in our life when things do not happen as per what we've planned. Or as a business owner, sometimes these moments when tech fails on us, we just literally go spiraling. But what if we did not spiral, and how we can handle it or how we can process it and still let it not affect us? I talked about it, and that reel has, it has given me a lot of, like, people have DM'd me. I've had conversations with people, how they resonated with it. I did share it, and I do this is that I do share my Instagram reels on YouTube as YouTube shorts, because why not? It's just the content I'm creating, and it's another space where I can share it and connect with another set of people. And that reel has performed so well on YouTube as well. Like, it is the reel which has one of the most views for me. It is the reel which has one of the most likes for me as well, and stuff like that. So why not, think about ideas like these and here's the thing, when it comes to showing up, all of these things and ideas are right in front of us. We just have to be slow, not slow, but we rather actually have to look for things as to what we can talk about instead of trying to force content out. There's so much to talk about. And social media is we being social. So strategy meets we being we, meets we being social, meets we having fun. That mix, when you actually make it work, you're just gonna love showing up every single day. So now coming back to, like, if I have to give you more examples for unconventional ways of showing up. So participating in someone else's live or even in a community discussion, like you're part of Facebook groups. There are these amazing posts or there are these amazing questions people are asking. How about participating in those conversations, sharing what you're feeling based on what they're asking? What are your thoughts, your advice, what you've felt, what you've experienced, what you've seen someone else similar maybe go through? That is you still showing up, and plus how you feel and what you feel, and then spending time journaling or reconnecting with also your business vision, which might actually spark a post idea, which might actually spark a, like series idea, which might actually spark something related to an offer. Anything can also be a way of you showing up. Even you taking rest to refill your creative energy and sharing what you did and how you feel is you in an unconventional way showing up. You being active in private conversations, even in DMs, even if you're not posting publicly, is the way you're still showing up. Now, these might not always be visible on your feed, but they absolutely count. It's not just about our feed, guys. It is also about how you feel, how content you are about what you're doing, because what you're doing in the background is just as much part of your consistency as well as what the world sees. So start thinking about it this way, start looking at it this way, and that way I feel you're making consistency sustainable, because not, or actually, how do we make consistency sustainable? I feel there are few ways we could or that could help you, where it's more like you find your rhythm. So it's not that you're actually trying to be someone else. Even if even if one post per day you do keep up with, stick with it for that for now, if you feel even that's a lot. Or even on the days when you're not, like I said, showing up on your own feed or on your profile, you could still show up with stories, the conversations you're part of, the conversations you have with other people can in person also be a good way for you to actually show up. Use micro consistency. Even small action every single day can be acted as you taking action. And for the days when maybe you failed, or once you start getting in the rhythm, batch creating content. And that way, then you can slowly get into staying consistent. So that way, if you have a certain batch ready, and a certain day, if you feel there's no inspiration hitting, there's no something not random, but something behind the scenes you could talk about, or there's no idea, you're still being consistent, right? So then, once you have your batches created, before you're out of the content you have already created, you can have like another batch creation day blocked on your schedule. And once you have your batch, like you get in the zone of batch creating content, you can then just grab it. So maybe you have it on Notion, you copy paste it and get the content out. Or like, for example, for Facebook, I would not say schedule content. If you have professional mode on your profile, you can schedule posts and those should work, but I do not recommend using any third party scheduling softwares, because the NUHAs do not work for our Facebook profile. They're still going to just give you a notification and then you have to kind of publish the post, when you can just copy paste it from maybe a Word document or from Notion or from Asana. If you're using that, we can do it that way. Why wait for a notification, right? And I have heard, when it comes to Instagram, a lot of times people say that if they schedule their reels, they don't get as much reach. So just have them saved as draft on your phone, and when it's time, just publish them out. As simple as that. And let go of the guilt, because that is one thing which is draining you down. You don't have to be everywhere all the time to be consistent. You have to be smart enough. You have to, like I said, have fun with it and then make it work. So what matters most is that you keep showing up in a way that feels aligned with your capacity and values. That is what matters. So here's a gentle reminder, like literally, show up consistently, and still, it doesn't mean you're doing more, but it rather means you're being intentional. It means you're being visible in a way that feels real, that is doable, that is true to you, and that can be sustainable over a long period of time. We don't want spurts of you showing up, then taking off. We don't want an on and off relationship. We rather want a relationship which is more full of joy, which is more juicy, which is more, you being you. So take a moment and ask yourself, what are one or two ways you can show up this week? Conventional, unconventional, or both? That's up to you, because it all counts. And if this episode resonated with you, I would love to hear what do you feel about it. So send me a DM on Instagram and let me know if you feel this episode is something that has sparked sparked some inspiration, giving you something to think about. You could also leave a review below and let me know. You could also share this with one of your fellow business buddies, and then discuss and brainstorm with them about what we're talking as well. So let's build the conversation together. And until next time, keep showing up in your own way. You are doing so much better than you think. So give yourself some credit, have fun, and bye for now.